fix it. Just gonna have you text me the video.
I'll message
That's cool
you.
with you.
Yeah.
Thanks, man.
My YouTube channel has every video.
Oh, check it out. Thanks, man.
So this is Delbet. It's very similar to a PTB, except you have to put molds around the medial and lateral malleoli and trim those out so that you get ankle motion. You get full range of motion at the ankle. Okay? It's kind of like a cylinder cast for the tibia. So if it's cylinder cast, it means it can slide down a little bit. Although these molds help quite a bit, and the way you cut it out help keep it up. But it's going to be one of those casts where it's very, very thin in padding. If the ankle is not going to be in it, does it have to be at 90 degrees? No, it sure doesn't. But the knee should be pretty close. It doesn't have to be 90 degrees, the knee, but you at least want it at 45 degrees. Rolling at 90 degrees is really tricky.
So how many layers would you say it's thinner?
Rolls tear very easily. I'm sorry. Layers of padding?
Mm-hmm.
Well, around my borders, it's always the same. You get 50% all the way up, and then the borders, I'm going to give it a little bit more.
Do you still have condoler molds?
Yes, same molds as a PTB on the top. And this is kind of a cast that is extremely rare. Not a lot of people do this cast anymore, but you may have to. There's a version of it in Blavel that doesn't do a PTB mold up here, but it does the medial and lateral malleolus molds.
So why isn't this as common now?
Because we rod so many tibias. We used to never operate on tibias, and well, we operate on them and get people moving a lot quicker. But, you know, there is those instances where we just cannot operate on them. The patient's too sick. This you'll see is kind of like a third, you know, I always say secondary treatment. This would be more like a thirdary. They went from a long leg cast to a PTB to a short leg. From a short leg, now we're going to a Delbet, just for that minor amount of protection. Now, I have done 2 of these in 4 years. Very rare. Both of them that I did were at UCSD, and I don't think Mike's done one ever, right? So I've never done one at Kaiser. But I have done my fair share of PTBs, that's for sure. So, again, this is going to treat pretty much any tibial diaphyseal fracture. But it's like a thirdary treatment. This is never going to be a primary treatment. Why do I keep teaching it?
Never know.
You never know. they have, I think it's called a Delbert. In Blotto, they're the closest thing we have to it. Now some people put two splints up here, one this way and one this way because of, but I try to get it all with one sometimes. It just really depends. You could put one here. This one I'm going to put down here. Next year I might put a splint somewhere else, who knows? Just areas that tend to be weak.
Does it also depend on the patient where you put the mold?
No, mostly it just, you know, out of experience, you just kind of learn where the weaknesses of the cats. Your cats are all going to break right here. Here's my patella. Femoral condyle molds. I'm going to push in, flatten out the gastroc. Medial lateral molds. I can leave him on the stand the whole time.
Did you go just under them?
What do you mean?
On the ankle?
Yes,
Sorry.
right under the medial lateral malleoli.
Okay.
Most common mistake with this cast is you trim out the wrong side of your molds on the medial lateral malleoli. This is your molds. Most of you guys are cutting your molds too short here. Give this a couple minutes to dry. Although it is hard. See how close my fingers are? I'm actually grabbing his condyles and hooking them. That's what I'm trying to do. again, it's not a bad idea to mark where your cutouts are gonna be, because last thing you wanna do is get this far and cut out the wrong side of your molds. You cut out down here and you just screwed the whole thing up. This is the most common, is you cut out on the top side of this flare, because I've made that mistake. You wanna cut out on the bottom side. That make sense? And then remember, you want to make it to where they have full range of motion, so you're cutting way up high.
On the backside as well.
Yep. Now, there's no mold that tells you what's high enough back there. Very sensitive area. Condyles. These condylar molds. And down here you do the same thing. Put tape, because this cast will slide right off. That digs into his knee. This doesn't allow him to extend. Gives him full range of motion. Puts a shoe on. It actually helps hold the cast up. Got it?
Is that what you told your patients when you put these on?
I tell my patients it's supposed to dig in there because they're going to come back with it all red and irritated. It's supposed to. But again, I haven't put one of these on in 20 years. It's been a long time. Any questions? We're going to put the molds, what it treats.